which shows Zurich in 1576. And you see, this was the river you probably have seen. It's nearby your hotel. This is River Limmat, leaving the lake and running later on to the Rhine, with the Rhine, to Germany, to Netherlands, to the North Sea. And you see that at that time we had city walls. And in front of the city wall was a moat filled with water. And you see many defense towers, and this is, for example, a city gate. And this here is now the main avenue we have in Zurich. It was filled in 19th century. This is the end of the old city, this side, and this is the end of the city, this side. This is the church you have seen. Can you see now that they didn't have a tower at that time?
Yeah.
But they had a monastery.
Yeah.
And in the monastery was a hospital. This was very important at that time, you know, because we had no other hospital. They were founded by the monks, the nuns. And to show you, we went along this street, and this here is where your hotel is. And you see, opposite was also such a tower, but the tower has been pulled down. And what you also can see, that we had no streets along the river, because all the transport was made on the water. It was the fastest, the cheapest, and also most pleasant transport at that time. You can see the churches here, the cathedral, having different tops. You know, one was destroyed by a fire, and this is when they were built, as you can see them nowadays. And you see, here behind was the monastery. On the other side, you see Our Lady's Church. We are going to visit. This is the church where we have the beautiful stained glass windows by Marc Chagall. And you see here was a nunnery. And one tower has been pulled down. Nowadays we only have one. This was a prison. And I must say, at that time, it was terrible, you know, because so-called witches were burned, you know. I say so-called witches because when a woman was very intelligent and she did special things, you know. She had red hair. It was sufficient, you know.
Wow.
The people said that she is a witch. She has to be killed. And they also had torture at that time. Yeah. So 1576, and we go on here. This is 18th century. This is more or less what you still see on a city map nowadays. You see the lake, and you see river limit flowing out of the lake. And this is the second river crossing the city. This is River Siel. And you will see where your parking is. This is where they join. And then you see here the old city wall on either side. And you can see here the fortification having been built in 17th century. In 17th century was that horrible 30 years war. It is called this way because it lasted for 30 years. And this was a war in between Protestants and Catholic people. But Switzerland was not involved in that war. The war came nearer and nearer to our borders, and the Zurich people were afraid if they were attacked that the old city wall wouldn't be strong enough to defend the city, because in the meantime other weapons had been invented. And this is the reason they built this fortification system all around the city. You see here our university were built. It's very difficult to see these old city walls. You have to know where it was. But this is still existing. Because, you know, we always had floods in former times, especially when the snow was melting in the mountains, and they thought if we have another possibility for the water to flow out the lake, so we will no more have these problems, and this is the reason it was kept.
Okay.
What you see here is what you see here. You see the river, and here we are on the right side, and on the other side, the left side, you can see the cathedral once again, and on the other side, Our Lady Church. And right here, where the city wall was, you can see that preacher's church you have seen, again without a tower, by the Dominicans. And over there, you see a hill with many trees. This is where the Romans were and had a customs post. And at the end, I would like to show you paintings having been painted a few years before Reformation was introduced. And this is the reason over there you can see the city as it was when Zwingli preached at the Grossmünster.